What would you say if I told you that life is a game, power is the prize, and we're all playing whether we want to or not? In his best-selling book, The 48 Laws of Power, author Robert Greene suggests that all human beings are motivated by power, and explores common strategies people have used throughout history to get it. In this video, we'll unpack Greene's philosophy, and take a closer look at some of the most interesting laws of power. You can use the laws to get power, or, if that's not what you want, you can use them to protect yourself from those who do. For more great book summary videos, subscribe to our channel and hit the notification button. If you find this video helpful, click the like button and let us know what you think. So, let's talk about Greene's premise for a minute because it's a little controversial. Actually, let's be real, the whole book is basically like an international supervillain handbook. According to Greene, everything in life is about power. His logic is that no one likes to feel powerless, and everyone likes to feel powerful. So whether you want to play the power game or not, you're part of it, as a king or a pawn. And he thinks you're better off mastering the game than just letting yourself get played. So obviously we could debate all of this. If you have strong opinions, let us know in the comments. But for the video, let's assume he's right. Let's assume the world is nothing but a giant chessboard and everyone wants to be king. The best way to master the game is to use every strategy available, and every player on the board to protect the power you have. And a tip from Greene? Start by studying history. According to him, no one played the game better than old-school aristocrats. Kings, queens, advisors, jesters, servants. In those days, you either had power and needed to hold on to it, or you were looking to get some. It was pretty dangerous too. You had to worry about people more powerful than you. And you also had to worry about anyone at your same level or lower, because everyone was always scheming. If you were too nice or played things too safe, you'd be steamrolled by people who were more ruthless and cunning. If you were too power hungry, you could lose your head. Literally. While we don't have quite as barbaric circumstances today, well, at least not on the surface, what's going on under the surface seems to be exactly the same. Playing the game well is mostly about mastering the art of deception. The goal is to seem civilized, but on the low, be relentless in your appeal for power. In the next two sections, we'll talk about how exactly to do that. According to Greene's study of history, there are 48 laws you can follow to generally boost your power in your life. On the flip side, ignore them and you'll lose power. You might even put yourself at risk of being taken advantage of in more serious ways. We're not gonna unpack all of them here, but let's talk about two categories to keep in mind: the power mindset and power pitfalls. We'll start with the power mindset. The goal here for each law is to make decisions from a strategic, calculated mindset. You want to avoid emotions, identify your goals, and pursue them without mercy. It's all very sweet, obviously. So, with that in mind, our first law, Law 29, is to plan through to the end. Whatever power you're trying to accumulate, whether that's climbing the career ladder or some kind of boost in social status, know the end goal. Plan out every detail. Consider what could go wrong and plan for those outcomes. You want to be as many steps ahead as possible so you can focus entirely on your goal. According to Greene, when we make goals, we tend to underplan because we have high expectations. We fall into wishful thinking. Guilty. But the reality is that plans are more likely to fall apart than go perfectly. So the more vague your plan is, the less prepared you are for unexpected obstacles. For example, a long time ago, Athens attacked Sicily in a bid for power. They didn't plan for anything to go wrong because they were so focused on the potential for glory. The war turned out to be a total disaster. Sicilians fought hard, and other enemies worked with them to defeat the Athenians. And guess what? It pretty much led to the fall of their civilization. Oops. If they'd planned things out with more detail, they might have found a path to victory, but they didn't. So no matter your goal, make a detailed plan. Once you're clear on it, then you could be relentless in your pursuit. The next law we'll talk about is law number 23, which is to focus your efforts. This is about conserving your resources and prioritizing actions that lead to maximum success. In Greene's view, it's extremely easy to lose focus and put your energy in places that don't ultimately benefit you. For example, let's say your goal is to get a promotion at work, but you get distracted by socializing with coworkers, instead of showing your boss how productive you are. After you get clear on your goal and your detailed plan for achieving it, Prioritize only the actions that get you closer to your goal. And not only that, but actions that lead you to the biggest possible jump towards your goal. Like, again with the promotion, if there are two people you're trying to impress to get a recommendation, focus your energy on the one with the most power to actually get it for you. Don't waste your time trying to impress people who can't elevate you. The last law of this section is also about avoiding distractions. It has two components. 1, be wary of friends, and 2, use enemies to your advantage. And you're probably thinking, wait, what? Why wouldn't I want my friends to help me with my goals? Green sees this as a normal but naive instinct. We all tend to look for friends when we need help with something, but there are lots of ways this can backfire when power is involved. For one, we usually try to avoid conflict with friends by hiding negative qualities or by sugarcoating less agreeable opinions. This makes it hard to know how friends truly feel, and when it comes to pursuing power, this creates a blind spot for you. Friends can also easily develop envy, resentment, or bitterness if they see you succeeding. They may start to covertly undermine you. They may even begin to feel entitled to your power if they see themselves as responsible for helping you gain it. In contrast, enemies usually show you what they think and feel about you. An open opponent is better than a hidden one, and because you know not to trust them, they'll either work harder to prove themselves to you or just keep you on your toes. Both are valuable. So if you can find an enemy whose goals you can benefit and who can benefit your goals, you can get a lot done with minimal risk to you. Not buying it? Let's take a look at history. Remember Napoleon? Ruled France for a hot second? Well, his foreign minister believed he was screwing up France and wanted to undercut him. So the minister teamed up with the head of the secret police. But the thing is, this dude had actually tried to assassinate him once. So why would he want to ally with him? Well, for one, they both wanted to undercut Napoleon. And 2, the foreign minister predicted that the head of police would go above and beyond to prove his value to him. They did not succeed with Napoleon, but they did develop an allyship that became useful to them both later. There are way more laws in this category, but hopefully these 3 give you a taste of what it takes to maintain a power mindset. The next category is probably the most important. The purpose of the laws here? To help you avoid common pitfalls as you accumulate power. Like we talked about earlier, mastering the game is about being strategic. In Green's view, that means not taking anything too far, keeping an eye out for people who want to undercut you, and following his laws even when you feel overwhelmed. For example, there was once a woman in the 15th century named Isabella who ruled a city-state in Italy. Even though there were much larger city-states around her that could have taken hers over, she managed to pretty much avoid that. How? She was careful and strategic, by seeming open to invitations to fight without ever actually accepting any, avoiding unnecessary provocation, and making smart negotiation decisions. Smart, Isabella. Girl power. The following 3 laws will each help you preserve your power once you have it. The first is to never take sides. Don't commit to any ideas, causes, or people aside from yourself. Keep your independence and you keep control. You can also use any appeals for your attention to your advantage. This law can be accomplished with 2 sub-strategies. The first is to keep yourself in a position where everyone wants to win you over. When you're aloof like that, not only do you have people vying for your loyalty, but they'll respect your impartiality. This gives you leverage and opportunities to negotiate for the things you want. For example, in the 1968 presidential election, Henry Kissinger gave both party candidates intel they wanted, in exchange for the promise of a high-level position in their administrations. More on that in a minute. Back to you, Jim. Anyway, the second strategy is to stay neutral in times of conflict. Don't let yourself be dragged into drama. Getting involved in other people's drama sucks your time and energy. That said, you also don't want to offend people, so try to appear supportive and interested without getting emotionally involved. This is a delicate balance, but it helps you to maintain your autonomy and your ability to focus on achieving your own goals. Going back to the Kissinger example, he ultimately ended up joining the Nixon administration. However, he purposefully stayed as neutral as he could, and didn't demonstrate any major loyalty to Nixon. Because of this, he was able to avoid the Watergate scandal and continue his political career in the next administration. So, stay impartial, stay aloof. Keep everyone vying for your attention, but stay committed only to your own interests. Is this toxic AF? Big supervillain energy? Obviously. But still, It's effective. Gotta give it to them. The next law we're gonna talk about is knowing when to stop. Knowing when enough power is enough. It's very easy to get caught up in your own victories and get greedy. But if you do this, you could honestly tank everything you've worked for. Victory is a fantastic but dangerous thing. We tend to reach victory through specific strategies. But since the end goal is victory, there is usually no strategy prepared for beyond that end goal. And the good vibes that come with victory can make you feel invincible. You're gonna want to take risks that aren't wise in an attempt to push even further forward. Don't do this. As an example, a common thing in 1700 France was to become the mistress of the king as a way to expand power. But most mistresses actually sucked at expanding power. Because once they got the mistress title, they got arrogant. Instead of coming up with new strategies and new goals, they kept using all of their old tricks. Spoiler alert, this did not work for them. The only mistresses who succeeded in gaining more power were the ones who took a pause and implemented new strategies to match their new circumstances. Very smart, nice job, ladies. So always stop to assess what you've gained, and then be pragmatic about maintaining or expanding that. The final law is to keep your hands as clean as possible. Pursuing power can inevitably be a very messy game. You'll probably make mistakes, but do everything you can to handle your business without leaving a paper trail. You can do this in two ways. Cover up your mistakes, or get other people to do your dirty work. People make mistakes all the time. It's not the mistakes themselves that hurt powerful people, but how they deal with them. According to Green, apologizing or making excuses often makes people believe you're incompetent. It can even make your mistake seem worse than it is. People aren't really satisfied by an admission of guilt. Green recommends finding a way to shift the blame from you to another person. Yes, I know. Again, this is supervillain advice. But look, the book is called 48 Laws of Power, not 48 Laws to Become Mother Teresa. Anyway, shifting the blame is pretty easy, because most people would rather blame others than look inward. That's scary. Makes sense though. We're so used to this that sometimes we don't even care who's at fault. We're just glad we have somewhere to place the blame. Politicians do this all the time and get away with it. The other way to handle a messy situation is to get someone else to actually make the mistake for you. That way, you don't have to shift blame later. Someone else is already technically responsible. That's bad. This does not make you any friends, but it does save your reputation. And it also saves you time and energy. Fun fact, this is pretty much what Cleopatra did to Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. She seduced them and got them to get rid of all of her rivals and enemies. Not a bad idea. No, I'm not gonna do that. She never had to get her hands bloody, and she was able to maintain power without exerting much energy. That's my kind of girl. Good for her. It ain't pretty, but it works. So, if you happen to find yourself in a similar situation, God, I hope not, when the stakes are high and you need something messy to get done, try to get someone else to do it for you. You'll get what you want, and you'll have less to lose. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, that last one stressed me out. I'm sweating. I don't personally really feel the need to pursue any of these laws, but hey, I'm not leading a country. Yet. The only real power I care about is having the power to belt a sustained high note in a very large theater. Anyway, Green is pretty aware that these laws aren't cute. He's not advocating for people to act like this. He's just saying that these are the laws at play when it comes to pursuing power. So whether you're an aspiring politician looking to gain power, or just someone who's trying to protect yourself from people willing to take advantage of you, there is a lot of value to gain from learning these laws. And the full book has lots of great insights into power dynamics that we didn't have time to cover in this video. If you're interested in going deeper, check out the short-form guide to the 48 Laws of Power, where you can read about all 48 laws. Shortform makes the world's best guides to nonfiction books, complete with well-crafted short exercises to help you learn faster and remember more. You can get a 5-day free trial and a discounted annual subscription if you go to shortform.com/YouTube. Click the link in the description below. And support the author and publisher by buying 48 Laws of Power. A link to buy the book is below as well. And finally, hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss the next short form video. Thanks so much for watching, have fun taking over the world, and see you next time.